Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with one of the most prominent promoters out there, Dimitri Salita. How's it going?
Everything is good. Great to be on.
Awesome. You have a lot of, events going on, a lot of fighters on big events. So obviously I want to start with one of the big ones. Claressa Shields returns at Little Caesars Arena, which it seems like she's continuously getting these big arenas where everyone's coming with these big championship fights. She's going to be defending her heavyweight title July 26th. How excited are you for this event?
Very excited. This feels like it's going to be the most electric event yet at Little Caesars Arena. Tickets are selling incredibly fast. It's going to be a sold out crowd. Rick Ross is walking her out. That's going to be very special and electric. We have a great undercard. And July is Women's Boxing Month, really.
Hmm.
Clarissa is going to be the first undisputed heavyweight world champion of the world ever, the first women's heavyweight champion of the world ever, and it's a great honor. It's another incredible first, and uh, you know it's going to be a great night at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit.
With all the stuff that's been going on with the movie and her continuing to be dominant in the sport, things like that, what else is she able to does she have to fight an alien on another planet? Like what is the ceiling? Because she has like this Roy Jones effect where critics, are
Exactly.
constantly nitpicking because the fact that, she's so dominant that it's kind of hard to find a rival in a sense. So, I guess what is it like promoting someone like that? And then I guess to continue to gain interest from the fans.
So we've been working with Clarissa since really the beginning of her career. When I first met Clarissa, she said, "Dimitri, I'll sign with you if you promise to make me the biggest and the best fights." And in her fourth fight, she fought for the world title. In her second fight, she's the first woman ever in the history of women's boxing to headline the main event on premium cable television, which was Showtime. And ever since then, her story kept growing. She kept breaking records, breaking glass ceilings, doing many firsts, and beating all the top champions and contenders in front of her. And there's absolutely the Roy Jones Floyd Mayweather effect, where she's just too good for a competition. She had two rivals, which is Christina Hammer, which at that time was the biggest women's fight of all time. It was had the championship lead up to it on a Saturday night on Showtime, and Clarissa just completely outclassed her. Then she fought Savannah Marshall, who is her longtime rival, and she outclassed her. And that was in England, in her hometown. I personally have never seen uh, an American world champion at the peak of their career travel to the country of their rival to avenge the rivalry. So that just shows you who Clarissa Shields is, what she represents, and the fire inside,
Yeah.
as the movie states. So Clarissa is also the first professional boxer to open up Little Caesars Arena, which is the premier venue in the city of Detroit, where the Pistons play, where all the big concerts happen. July 26th is going to be sold out. Incredible response. Tickets selling incredibly well every day. It's really going to be special.
I know by all means you guys have an amazing relationship and I assume that, you know, I think there's been talks of like her kind of something about free agency, but fighters are always free agent at a certain period of time. And so by all means, the working relationship, you and Clarissa in the for future, you know, um, you see yourself still working and if not, obviously I'm sure you're gonna be supportive regardless of the decision that comes about.
Like I said many times before, I don't negotiate on the social on social media. But Clarissa Shields and I have a great relationship, and I'm very grateful for the work that she's allowed me to do for her, and really very grateful for all the incredible accomplishments that have happened on this journey. So yeah, listen, I feel very good about where we're at now, and I feel very good about the work that we have done, and I feel very good about my relationship with Clarissa, and you know the. I'll just leave it at that, and it's like when they ask a fighter, about 2 fights from now, or a fight from now, And the fighter says, "I'm just focused on July 26th." So, so as a promoter, I'm just focused on July 26th, putting together an incredible event. Rick Ross is walking Clarissa out. So this
Mhm.
is Clarissa's event, and really the city of Detroit, which is one of the centers, has been one of the centers of sports and music and culture. And on this night, you're gonna have the boss Rick Ross, who's an iconic hip hop artist, and Claressa Shields, the greatest woman of all time, come together in this incredible moment. So I
Mhm.
believe that the world will stop and watch boxing and watch Claressa Shields on July 26th. And I'm very grateful that we put this event together and working every day to make it more and more special. And there'll be other incredible surprises and great things to be announced for that night.
Awesome. I know you mentioned July is, Women's Boxing Month, and I think there's been a misconception that obviously fight fans would see, the competitors being competitors, right? But I'm sure you're a big supporter of the movement that MVP is doing with obviously with, rival fighters and people who, voice that they would want to fight Clarissa with like the Alicia Baumgardners and Katie Taylor and Serrano. So just what's your thoughts on the whole process of MVP and kind of coexisting with you?
Uh, when- it's great to see the spotlight be on women's boxing. Competition is good. Alicia Baumgardner was never going to fight Clarissa Shields. That was just clickbait. So so you said a lot of different things that need to be given some clarity. So Clarissa welcomes competition and she's fought the best. Look at her resume, which is second to none. Man or woman, really. So people can talk the talk, but a lot of people don't walk the walk. As Dom King used to say, there's 99 ways to say no and only one way to say yes. So whenever this beef with Alicia and Clarissa started, maybe 2 years ago, I called her then manager, her promoter, no interest, like zero. So that was just clickbait and whatever, all good. Savannah Marshall reached out to Savannah Marshall, I believe, in March and April, try to make the rematch and offered her more money than she ever made and all the tidbits that we discussed. But she went in a different direction. Uh, she's fighting Shadeja Green, who is uh, a very good fighter. But we have Franchon Cruz, who beat Shadeja Green, who just defended her title on June 6th on the Hall of Fame Weekend show. I'm very grateful that women's boxing is growing leaps and bounds. And I'm just saying facts, not gossip, not he said, she said. Claressa Shields is the first woman in the history of the sport to be the main event on premium cable television. That was in March of 2017. And since then, she's accomplished many firsts. And there's lots of very good champions, and great fighters, and they have great stories. But there is really only one Claressa Shields. That's the truth. And uh, as an amateur boxer, through an incredible life journey, coming from Flint, Michigan, one of the most challenged places in the United States, she has really shown and inspired through her talent of boxing women and men and the every underdog there is and not so she's just a great inspiration and she did incredible things for women's boxing, not only her skill and her desire to fight the best but also her attitude and her unapologetic uh, request to give equality and to get recognition. And some people say different things about her, but it took that kind of personality to open the door and to bring in this change. And uh, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor are incredible athletes, great boxers, and they fought great fights. And I wish them all the best, truly. And I will enjoy the fight as a boxing fan. Amazing. They're making a lot of money. That it's on Netflix. As a boxing fan, and as a former boxer who knows what these great athletes have to go through, I support them 100%. With that being said, I don't believe this would happen if Claressa Shields didn't bust the door wide open when she did in 2016, win the second Olympic gold medal and really become an icon of women's boxing. And women champions can coexist and should support each other. And Claressa, throughout her career, if you can see, although she's competitive with certain boxers, but she's always been carrying women's boxing on her wide shoulders and making sure that people and women get the recognition that she deserves. I want to say something that's very important. During COVID, everybody got hurt during COVID, right? But women's boxing got hurt unproportionately. There was no network that put women's boxing on. Not one. That's the truth. And Clarissa had great ratings, and we knocked on this door, knocked on that door, knocked on this door. There was nothing to do. So we decided to do an all women's pay per view with Clarissa for Clarissa and Clarissa, and we put on fighters that we didn't promote, that we had no affiliation with, just to give women an opportunity to showcase their skills and to have an opportunity to make a living and to make a couple of bucks and to keep their career going. And every one of Clarissa's shows, if you look at the undercard, we've had a woman. Some was signed to us, some wasn't signed to us. On the July 26th show, we have two incredible women, Samantha Worthington fighting for the interim WBA world title. She's the number one contender and hopefully soon to be interim champion for the winner of Katie Taylor Serrano. Caroline Vieira fighting for the WBC eliminator. She's a 126-pound fighter, I believe one of the best in the world. So this event is highlighting some great women. I believe the best women prospect in the sport of boxing is Ashley Alnazada, fighter that we promote, first ever Puerto Rican Olympian. And she just looked sensational in her last fight, June 6th, on the zone. You could watch it on the zone. You could watch it on social media. It was only 25 seconds. She knocked out a very durable and skilled fighter. She's really incredible. So there's so many different talented women from all walks of life, from all different cultures and different countries and different nationalities. And I'm happy to see it as a boxer and as a boxing fan for sure.
Awesome. My last few set of questions. I know that you signed some heavyweights that, one of them's going to be returning on Clarissa's card, and he has a decorated amateur background. Just wanted to see if you can speak a little bit about him.
Sardia Simmons, uh, three-time national champion, two-time national Golden Gloves champion, just won the national Golden Gloves in May, and I reached out to him. He's from the Burston Fieldhouse, Flint, Michigan, USA, same gym that Claressa Shields is from. And we signed him. I actually really wanted to put him on June 6th, but there just wasn't enough time. And he just made his pro debut 2 weeks ago, and he's going to fight Demetrius Banks, who's a very tough, experienced veteran in his second professional fight. Sardius is going to be on a fast road to success because of his amateur career and because of his skills. The other guy to keep your eyes on, I believe, is the best American heavyweight prospect, soon to be contender, is Price Taylor. Price is currently in training camp with Shaquille Stewart in Miami, Florida, in Delray Beach, and he's gonna fight Robert Sims. Robert Sims is a very skilled, tough gatekeeper who's beaten some good fighters, who's barely lost, slight, very razor thin decisions to some other very good fighters. So he's a real gatekeeper, and it's gonna be a great fight and a great test for Price Taylor. And in the main event, you got the heavyweight championship of the world with Claressa Shields. So it's the night of the American heavyweights on July 26th.
Awesome. And then just switching gears before I let you go. Um, Long time ago, you used to always tell me about your fighter Ergashev. Then we were out in Vegas when he took on a very tough guy who later, shown the world that he is what he was, Matias,
Yeah.
which, your fighter lost that night, but now Matias is with you and at an opportunity to fight on July 12th on another opportunity to be a champion for a second time. And then right underneath it, there's an eliminator. I know we're not looking past, but just talked to Pitbull, the other day, and if he gets past, his opponent in the rematch, and Matias, like, I mean, there's a big fight that could happen between Matias and Pitbull. But before that, the fight itself, credible opponent, Puello, world champion, beating guys. Obviously had the win against Gary Antoine Russell, who later became a champion. So what's your thoughts on that fight, and how excited are you to see Matias perform on that huge stage on July 12th?
So great intro, by the way. That is the first time that I met Matthias was in Las Vegas, and Ergashev very strong, big, ready for that fight. And ringside, I saw how special Matthias was, And for the first 3 rounds, Ergashev kind of had his way. And then slowly but surely, Matthias, started to inch in and do his thing. And sitting there like ringside and really watching closely at the fight, some things that you really don't see on TV is I saw Matthias's boxing skills. He's not flashy, but he has very subtle uh, and good defense, and he is uh, uh, very skilled. So after that fight, I maintained a relationship with his team. They reached out to me, and we've been talking about doing a deal. He was almost going to fight Lopez, and then that fight didn't happen. And we staged a fight for him in Fajardo, Puerto Rico on March 1st of this year. And for Puerto Rican, for great, very good Puerto Rican fighters to be stars, they have to be connected to the New York City community. And Subriel Matias, who has a great personality, reminds me a lot of Felix Trinidad, has never fought in New York. So for a guy like Subriel to go to New York City, to have a big fight in New York City, to connect to that rich community is career changing in my opinion. And he's fighting a very tough fight. So beating Puello in New York City in front of his fans, I believe is really going to elevate his career to the next level. And that's been my goal. Uh, right after the fight, to bring him to New York City, and I'm very grateful that those plans paid off, and he's fighting on this great show on July 12th.
Like I said earlier, not putting, the carriage before the horse, but is there a slight dollar sign, rooting interest that if Pitbull can get that fight, that we can ultimately get one of the, if not maybe the best Mexican versus Puerto Rican showdown if
Right?
everything works out?
That would be great. Certainly, those have been some of the greatest rivalries in the sport of boxing, Puerto Rico versus Mexico. So that would be fantastic. That would be a great one for sure.